Thanks for clicking on the video. And here on Nerdmimic, we are going to do our top 10 list of things that we learned about going to GenCon for our very first time. So first of all, you did have fun. Yes, Emma? Yeah, it was pretty good. And this list will not be in any particular order, just things that we learned about. And if you want to ever attend yourself, you might want to learn about these tips that we have to share, right? Okay, so let's start with tip number one. What's tip number one, Emma?
Tip number one is crowds.
Yes, it's about the crowds. Now, GenCon is very popular. There's 75,000 people plus. So there are definitely going to be crowds. And one thing you and Ender always complain about was the smell, right? I think the odor of some people would be bother the kids. It is very crowded. There's just no way to deal with it. However, the positive thing about crowds is there's a lot of people there to share your passion for the hobby, and you can find people to play with all the time. And not only that, but everyone is very nice, right? Everyone's very, very nice. We've been to multiple other conventions before, whether it's anime conventions or comic book conventions, but I would say the board gaming community is much, much nicer and friendlier to deal with. So I think it's worth the trouble of crowds. Now, what's tip number two?
Number two is comfortable shoes.
That's right. You have to do a lot of walking. The convention center is huge and it spills over to multiple other sites. So every day I did almost 30,000 steps. My kids did about 15,000. And this is with me sitting down and playing multiple games as well. So you definitely want to have comfortable shoes, and going along with the crowds, you don't want your toes to get stepped on, right? Yeah, so we saw some people wearing sandals and flip-flops. I don't think that would be very comfortable at all. All right, so what's tip number three?
Number three is there's Uber and no traffic.
That's right. So we live here in Southern California, and I thought the convention center access was going to be really hard to get to. However, it was not. So we stayed at a hotel by the airport, and I guess that's about 20 to 30 miles away from the convention center. And it only took us about 20 minutes to get to the convention center by Uber. And Uber was readily available. We found a car all the time within 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And the drive there was fast. There was virtually no traffic at all. Even if we went during rush hour, like from 8 to 9 or 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., there was just no traffic to be had. The only trouble we had maybe was being dropped off at the convention center because there's other cars dropping people off, but that was it. It was really easy to get to. For the first day, I got my kids to get there early, but we got there over an hour early, right?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of time to spare, and yeah, I was really surprised. There's like virtually no traffic in Indianapolis at any time. So really easy to get to. And so you don't have to stay really close to the convention center. You could stay far away and get there quickly. All right, so what's tip or advice number three?
Tip number three is check eBay, Reddit.
Okay, well, what I wrote down there is there's a lot of promos given away at the site. And we have a free promo giveaway going on right now, Emma, right? Yeah, so I'll put a link down below for that. So some of these promos you may not be aware of. So one way I discovered it was just going on eBay and typing in GenCon and see what was newly listed for people selling. And of course, there was a whole bunch of stuff. And we do have a giveaway going on right now for multiple things, including those Mickey Mouse Lorcana pins. Yeah, I looked it up and people are selling it or buying it for $60, but I'm gonna give one away to you guys. So that's one way to find out about promos, because the convention floor is huge. Another source would be Reddit, and that's how you can find out how to enter certain contests as well. So I think that is a valuable source to check out even during the convention. All right, so what is what's the next tip?
Number four.
Yeah.
Number four is there's a hotel.
Well, about hotels, yeah, so it's obviously a very popular convention, right, Emma? Now, we went to Origins. We won part of the lottery to stay at a hotel adjacent to the convention center, but for GenCon, we did not win that lottery. So hotel rooms around that area were going up to like $500 to $1,000 a night, and that's really pricey. So we stayed by the airport. I was really nervous about that because it's pretty far away. But as I mentioned, Uber and traffic was very light, and we got back and forth easily. And I think it was only, most of the time, about $20 for an Uber trip, going either way. So it is definitely worth your time and money to stay at a hotel further away. Now, the only problem with this is, of course, if you want to buy a lot of games and store it somewhere, so you may want to actually maybe rent a car then and park it there. I'll leave that up to you. But staying at a hotel further away was actually no trouble, and a lot of people did so. It was packed at our hotel as well with GenCon attendees. All right, what's tip number 5, Emma?
Tip number 5 is that you can walk around the Skyways without going outside.
Yeah, so this is in regards to the convention center. The convention is really huge, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of walking to be done. However, inside the convention center, it's nicely air conditioned. Even though it's a little bit older and the bathrooms are a little bit run down, the AC is working quite well. I didn't feel like there was stale air at all, even though there was a huge crowd. And you don't actually have to go outside in the hot, humid weather if you want to go to adjacent venues like the hotels or the stadium. There are actually Skyways that are enclosed and air conditioned, and you can just walk back and forth. So for example, it was even raining one day and we didn't get wet at all. You just walk in these tunnels and it was really super convenient. So I think that was pretty cool. All right, so what's tip number 6?
Tip number 6 is that not time to do everything, it is impossible.
Okay, well, basically, GenCon is huge. They have thousands upon thousands of events. We didn't actually sign up for any of them, and we still have plenty to do. It is virtually impossible to do everything that is there, right, Emma?
Yeah.
Yes, so the tip would be just pace yourself, enjoy yourself. If you see something cool, just do it at that time. You may not even have a chance to go back to it because you'll be distracted with so many other things.
Dun.
Yes, so just pace yourself. I think next year when we go, maybe we'll do some events, but we'll see. All right, what's the next tip?
Tip number 7 is that it's probably the best kind of convention to go to.
Yeah, so we've been to multiple other conventions, as I mentioned. However, I would say this was probably the best. Now, we went to Origins earlier this year, but that was a lot smaller. GenCon by far is far more impressive, and if I went to GenCon first then Origins, I would have been disappointed with Origins, so I'm glad we did Origins first. But after going to GenCon, I don't think there's any reason to go back to Origins at all. Not only that, but other conventions like video game conventions, you don't really have to go there. You could download a demo, play at home.
Yeah.
Anime conventions, you could just watch a show at home. You don't have to be there. These are sort of solo activities. But when you go to a board gaming or role-playing game convention, it's good to be there to interact with other people happy and passionate about the games, and you have people to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, all these projects are physical, right? They're not digital like a video game or a anime show. It is a physical product and better to play in person for sure. So I think it's definitely worth the trouble and hassle to attend. All right, so what's the next tip or advice that we have?
Next is number 8. Number 8 is everyone is nice. Again.
Okay, well, let's skip that one since we already talked about it. But everyone is very nice. It's true and very helpful. Okay, so what's the next one?
Well, number 9 is everyone knows about GenCon and it is set up to play like the airport.
Yeah, that's right. So even if we stayed at the hotel far away from GenCon, the airport hotel even had ballrooms reserved and opened up for people to play games. Okay, they even has signage for that, and people did utilize them. Also at the airport, there are tables set up to play as well. So it's really amazing to see. Everyone knew about GenCon, whether it's people serving food or the Uber drivers, whether they know about it or even attend themselves. I think it's just part of the culture there, and it's really cool to see. All right, what's the next?
Number 10 is food.
Yeah, so food can always be a little tricky at conventions. My kids for sure like McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
But there's no McDonald's there at all. We did a little mini nerd mimic food review of a Taco Bell cantina that's close by, and the mall is 1 block away. So the mall also has a Taco Bell. I think there's a Charlie's Philly's cheesesteak and some other small fast food venues like that. There is a place called Steak and Shake that we went to. That's 1 block away. And that is actually pretty good. It's sort of like a Midwest In-N-Out, I would think. Very inexpensive and quite tasty. There were also food trucks in the back. I don't know, that's going to be variable. I wouldn't eat at the convention center itself. The lines there were exceedingly long and not as good for sure. All right, so it's definitely worth the trouble to just walk 1 block away. And as I mentioned with the Skyways, you don't even have to go outside. You can just walk through the tunnels. Yeah, go through the tunnels and get to the mall and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty much it. Anything you want to share with the viewers?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
Stay close to your parents, people!
Yeah, because of the crowds, right? I think we might even have lost you or Ender at one point. But yeah, keep your kids close. It is super crowded. I think we'll definitely try and make our way there next year as well. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you found this helpful. And once again, we have giveaways going on, and I'll put a link down below for that. All right, so as always, keep on adventuring out there. Thumbs up, right?
Yep.